Hello and welcome back to She Sparks Live, Episode 6, Legal Safety Education. We're very excited as we have Cherish Button with us, who works for Gallian Welker Beckstrom. Her niche is family and law, right? Family and divorce law.
Correct.
As well as Gallian Welker specializes in injury, defense, and business formation. So to begin this episode, Cherish, do you mind us asking you a crazy question, and that's, if you could do anything in a limo or with a limo, what would it be and why?
The craziest thing I would do in a limo that is going to keep it professional would be to stand up out of the top in the moonroof and yell my loudest Xena warrior cry, princess yell. And
you want to do it? Let's
no,
do
I'm not
it.
going to do it.
Come on, for episode Woo! If you're liking this, put a comment below to let us know you're watching it. So I love it. I love the energy. So Cherish is definitely leaving her mark and sharing her spark. So to begin this episode, Cherish, share with us, what is your passion, what do you do, and what sparked your journey?
My passion is to help people. Going through a divorce, you can be blindsided by infidelity, substance abuse, pornography. You can be left with children and you find yourself in a single mom situation and you need help and you need someone to represent you and fight for you. And I like to help people. Even in car accidents, you find yourself with injuries and lingering symptoms. You're unable to work, you're unable to sleep, you're unable to play with your kids sometimes. And, the negligence of someone. We've all seen the traffic around St. George, the collisions that happen every day here. I like to help people get compensated and help them with those things.
Well, and it is nice to have that source to go to when you get in a car accident, because you see some people get in a car accident and they think they're fine, but in reality, there's so much damage internally. So there's two topics that I would like to talk about. We will get to the car accident and the injury law here in a second. But I know that your passion for what you do at Gallian Welker is, again, the family and divorce law. And so what made you feel so passionate about that in your industry?
About my divorce back in 1998, I hired a do-it-yourself divorce. For $100. This was in 1998, and you get what you pay for, especially with professional services, as you all will come to find out.
We just talked about that at episode 5.
You will get what you pay for.
Yes.
These are your lives. This is your home. These are your children. These are your assets. You need to, me personally, I went through a divorce. The paperwork was not done, properly based on the circumstances, with the other party, and we ended up spending lots and lots of money on attorneys that we didn't have, fighting over things. We didn't know how to do the paperwork, and I ended up getting interested in being a paralegal at that time.
Awesome.
And as a single mother, I did go and seek out a scholarship at SUU for single mothers, and I had a child at the time, and it paid for everything. Wow. And that's where I got interested in being a paralegal, and so finding out.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. And so I really want to dive into the whole divorce topic, and I don't want this episode to be, negative. It's such a positive topic. When couples do want to get a divorce or just live up separate lives, what are the steps to do so?
Well, of course, if both spouses want the divorce, and it's what we call stipulated or contested, it's much, it's much quicker, less expensive. It's just better for everyone involved, especially the children. But we do plenty of stipulated divorces as well, where both parties agree to it. But when you have a contested situation, contested custody, the parties own significant real estate, a business, you just really have to pay an attorney up front to get those assets appropriately and fairly distributed. You need to have a parenting plan that's working for both parties, not just the cookie cutter statute, the every other weekend thing. That doesn't work for some people, and sometimes it's not in the children's best interests. So you have to have an attorney who's well educated on those topics. So this is your life, your children's lives. You just don't want to risk it by doing it on your own. and 9 times out of 10 you'll end up back at a law office paying 3 times as much to get it fixed. We have a lot of cases where people try to do it yourself, and it's just things are omitted completely. They have to go back and modify it. The parenting plan isn't working for everyone, and we have to go in and modify it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's really important that people, I think one great benefit of going and hiring a professional is to make sure that, yes, you are taken care of as couples, but most importantly your kids, if you have kids, to make sure that is aligned and set up the right way. So do you feel like there is a misconception of the family and divorce law and just that topic in general?
And I've been doing this since 2002 is when I started, and I have worked full-time as a paralegal, and I have never seen a decline in divorces. It has always been steady. During the Christmas seasons, of course, things like that. No one wants to go through a divorce during the holidays, and they don't have money for that type of thing. But, generally speaking, I'm proud of what I do. I help people. When you say misconception, do you mean like a negative connotation to divorce lawyers were a bunch of sharks?
When you think of the word divorce, I ask you what's the first thing you think of, and a lot of people might think of positive stuff, but majority of the time it might be negative. Just kind of like, no offense, but like CrossFit. CrossFit is fantastic, but the industry does come off not as strong as like going to a gym, but it's still very similar. And so with your industry, just divorce in general, do you feel like there is a misconception in hiring an attorney and just meeting the attorney? And
I mean, we've divorced people in 10 days. We can do the paperwork to where if it's uncontested, you've checked off the list, you've taken the mandatory divorce education class online, so fully stipulated, waiving the time, I can get you divorced in 10 days. Some people need to emotionally move forward with their life, to pursue other relationships or, a bad relationship. But on a positive note, we do, step-parent adoptions are just wonderful. We've done DCFS adoptions, child support modifications, parent time modifications. I guess because I do this for a living, I don't think of it as a misconception, but I could see how people, a customer would be leery of hiring an attorney. Oh, they pay him thousands of dollars and, nothing got done. But unfortunately, the judicial system is backlogged, it's full of delays. My attorney, and I've worked for several attorneys, my attorney does everything he can to get that case settled quickly with the least amount of money, which is through mediations. He doesn't stir the pot. He doesn't cause conflict where there isn't. I have worked for attorneys and seen attorneys on opposing sides do that to increase their bills, and it is unethical. And we have enough work to do as it is than to cause more work for our clients. Our goal is to get that case settled as quick as we can, assuming it's in your best interest. We have a duty to disclose to you, we have a duty to protect our clients from themselves sometimes.
Of course, which is needed.
Yeah, people have an unrealistic expectation. Oh, I'm going to get $10,000 a month in alimony. No, you're not. And let me tell we'll tell you why. So there's there's a misconception about that too. So,
and I know probably a lot of our listeners, they are in relationship with their partners together in a business. So if the couple's together who owns a business and they decide to split up owning a business, what happens there and what's kind of the way to solve that whole business situation?
Almost never do we dissolve the business. That just creates no income for either party.
Yeah.
Normally one of the spouses take over the business. You're not going to continue co-owning the business and co-managing the business. You're a divorced couple. That's not a good idea. Yeah. And the few times that we have done that, it hasn't worked out. But usually one of the parties buys out the other or the equity in it, and holds the other party harmless for any future, debts or liabilities. And for example, they would take their portion or interest of the business out of the other party's equity in the house. And my attorney will work with that in mediation. Well, instead of giving you half the equity out of the house, We're going to let you keep the house. You sign off your equity in the business.
Got it.
He takes the business, whatever works for the parties.
Yeah. And again, that's why it's great going to a specialist so you don't have to deal with the headache of doing it yourself. Yeah.
You have to have it statutorily. The paperwork has to be filed with the state, and the liabilities have to be released with the managing members of the business. And
so hire an expert.
There's quite a lot of people that
Yes.
own a business and that need a divorce.
Yes.
It's very common.
Yeah, and we see it, and it's a part of life. So before we move on to the next topic of injury law, is there any education you would like to provide our listeners regarding the family and injury law?
Regarding family law or war injury law?
Family, and then we'll move on to the injury.
If you're contemplating a divorce from your spouse, and you are ignorant or you just don't know about the finances in your family, maybe perhaps your husband takes the family finances, he pays the mortgage, he kind of monitors the family finances, and you think you might be anticipating a divorce. It's best to put your ducks in a row, get all the information you can lined up about what assets that you and your spouse own, what your mortgage payment is, maybe how much equity might be in your home, and sometimes
things you wouldn't even think about.
Yeah, because if you don't have that information, or at least a reasonable amount of that, when you arrive at the consultation to get legal advice, and you decide to move forward and retain an attorney, all that information we are going to have to obtain through what's called discovery, which is more expensive, more time consuming. So, if you don't know what your mortgage is, you need to find out.
Yeah.
You should be fully aware of what your finances are, and don't ever think that...
For both parties.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me, know the flow for both parties.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stay-at-home dads too, and where the wife's the breadwinner, and maybe she's got a 401k or pension account. They have a duty to disclose those things in the divorce, but it's just best that the attorney can get a better picture of the finances in the beginning, to give you better legal advice, more specific legal advice.
And do you guys do like a free consultation? Like if people want to come into you, just say, hey, we're wanting to get a divorce. Do you sit down with them and talk to them, or is it just onboarding?
So I don't, as the paralegal, I'm actually not able to give legal advice.
Okay.
Even though I'd like to, I have to go through my attorney. So what I do, I can give general guidance, but I cannot give specific legal advice, especially over the phone. My attorney does reduced consultations of $100, Britt Beckstrom, and we have an associate attorney, Eric Carson, and they will take as long as you, Eric. They will take as long as you need with them.
I love that.
They don't cut you off at an hour. You can bring all documentations with you and have them review it, get all of your questions answered, and you can walk away. Or if you decide you want to retain them, they'll work with you with payment plans. You don't have to cough up $3,000 right there, or whatever it is. Especially, we know people are on a fixed income, single mothers, and we all live paycheck to paycheck. Well, my boss is really good about letting you make payment arrangements.
Good.
So we're not that kind of firm where, your case isn't worth, we'll help everybody. So
that's awesome, and thank you for letting us know that. So moving on to the injury law, we wanted to bring you in to talk about the legal safety education regarding injuries, not only car accidents that you specialize in. I know you guys specialize in other injuries, whether it's a car getting hurt at work or a dog bite or anything like that. But I really want to focus on car injuries. 2 years ago, I got in a gnarly car accident. And for the listeners who know Rachel, my sidekick, my assistant, she got in a car accident a couple weeks ago, hydroplaning on, I know, crazy, huh? Hydroplaning on water. And her car spun and she ran into the beam and totaled her car. She's okay. But when someone gets in an accident, let's start with not their fault. If anyone gets injured in a car, is there any legal help that can be provided for them, or does it have to be a one-on-one response? Does it have to be two or more parties, or can there be an injury needed for a one?
So when we talk about no fault, we're talking about Utah has a requirement that any registered vehicle owner in the state of Utah has to have what's called PIP, or personal injury protection. Any occupant, passenger, driver of the vehicle, regardless of fault, is entitled to at least $3,000 of medical care per occupant, regardless of fault. That's no fault. In addition, your insurance company sometimes doesn't tell you this, you also are entitled to, under your PIP benefits, reasonable wage loss under the direction of a doctor with a temporary disability note with work restrictions, and you are also entitled to up to $20 a day, up to 365 days in a year consecutive, of what's called loss of essential services, which is I can't sweep, I can't drive, I can't perform personal hygiene, I can't vacuum.
Do
those
your
types
day-to-day
of
tasks.
daily household tasks, where you have to have another person in your household, usually a spouse or a child, an adult child, or an older child, perform those services, come in and perform those services for you. They keep ledgers, and we can turn those in and get reimbursed. You pay your premiums every month for these PIP benefits.
Exactly. And not a lot of people know.
And if you don't know about it, then they're not going to tell you.
When Rachel got in her accident, I was like, then and there, let's go get you taken care of. Let's,
And I can't stress the importance of whether or not the accident's your fault. And we're going to talk about low rates of speed and collisions in a moment, but please just go get checked out. If you have a headache and your neck hurts, it's probably not going to go away. Please utilize your PIP benefits, whether it be going to your primary care physician or going to a chiropractor. Please go get yourself checked out, because sometimes those things don't go away and they can really mess with your lifestyle, and it's nothing that you just want to ignore.
Yeah. So just go get checked
out.
Go
get a deep tissue massage on your insurance carrier.
Yes, exactly. So what about the low collision? Like, let's say you have a bender fender, or someone hits you, and there's not a lot of damage, but you still get that whiplash, because we always do. What happens in those situations regarding injury law?
What people don't understand, there's an unfortunate misconception with your fender benders, your 3 to 5 mile per hour fender benders, as opposed to more higher mileage per hour collisions. With a low mileage collision, what we want to see is the vehicle having absorbed the shock, having dented, having smashed. A lot of times that's not going to happen on a 3 to 5 mile per hour crash. The way that cars are built nowadays, they're pretty sturdy. They're not going to give. The forces of impact have to go somewhere, and if they're not being absorbed by the vehicle itself, they are going through to your body. And you can imagine a 2-ton vehicle, if the car's not taking it, the impact of forces, it is going through and jarring, causing whiplash and other injuries, and depending on your physical condition, or underlying medical spinal issues, you can have whiplash, and it can cause even a 3 to 5 mile per hour crash. If we don't see that smash and the vehicle having taken that, then that shows us right there, that injury is legitimate, as opposed to maybe a 12 to 20 per mile hour crash. The car at that point is probably going to give, which will actually absorb some of the impact and could potentially cause less impact or less injury, whiplash injury to the occupants.
Yeah, I completely agree. So it doesn't matter what type of force you get hit by, or whatever type of accident, you still need to get checked out, and definitely at least talk to a specialist to get you taken care of. And so, is there any other education or advice that you would like to provide our listeners regarding car accidents or anything in the injury law?
Well, like I said earlier, with the PIP benefits, and we only take clients that the accident was not their fault. That's just the way it goes, unfortunately.
It's not my fault. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. That's Cherish's fault.
Oh, God, heavens forbid you're ever in a situation where you are injured from it, whether it be a T-bone front end, rear end collision, and if you've ever been in one, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The headaches, you could have significant injuries.
Focus, feeling dizzy.
Yeah. You're calling into work sick, and you're losing income. You're not able to go hiking with your friends. You're finding yourself, you won't even be be able to drive for more than an hour and a half. These are injuries that need to be addressed, and usually the younger and healthier you are, more active, fit, more musculature, the better off you're going to be in a collision. Unfortunately, females are far more susceptible to be injured in an automobile collision than a male because of our smaller body frames. Not me personally, but less muscle mass and that type of thing. So females can where a man can walk away from it, a female can have serious injuries.
And if anyone got in a car accident in the past or recently, or just want to learn more about any type of the topics that Gallian Welker specializes in, how can they find you?
They can get onto our website, Gallian Welker and Beckstrom. It's a great website. They can contact our law office. We're in the phone book. We have several advertisements in the phone book as well. Great website.
Please, Cherish is amazing as well. She'll take great care of you.
Just ask for me.
Ask for Cherish. And so for the last question to end episode 6, Cherish, you are a member of She Sparks Business, which we're super grateful for. And so what is how has She Sparked helped you personally and professionally? And what do you like about this whole women's business group?
It's helped me personally because, first of all, I feel at the workplace, I feel special that I get to go attend these events, and I've always telling the other staff members, the girls I work with, why don't you come with me and kind of see, put yourself out there and kind of see, it's more than a free lunch, put yourself out there and kind of visit and see what's out there. I really, really like, and my boss, Mike Welker, and he's in Corporate Alliance as well. But these social networking groups, it's so important to support other members that have gone out of their way to make time to show up at these events and support one another, because we need to give each other business. Exactly. We need to be giving each other the business and making the referrals to these people, because we are an alliance, and I like the all-female thing. It has a whole different depth of substance.
Well, women get women, and women really know how to empower women. Yeah. So for those who have never been to a She Sparks Business event or absorbed the community, what would you like to say to them?
Come check it out. You can be my guest. Come check it out. You're going to be put on a table with maybe some women that you've never met before, and you're going to feel awkward, and I'm actually kind of a shy person. I know you wouldn't think it. People are shocked to find out I'm pretty shy. Well, I didn't say I wasn't.
I was shocked. I love that.
I didn't say I wasn't obnoxious and loud. I'm just, but you're gonna be not forced, but you're gonna be put in a situation where you need to open up. You need to be able to, talk about who you are and what your business does, and then in turn help other people. What can I do for your business? Yep. So.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's a great organization, and I'm glad that my firm has paid for my membership, and I'm really grateful about that.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you again, Cherish, for being on our show for episode 6, Legal Safety Education, Women Leaving Their Mark and Sharing Their Spark. So again, thank you very much, Cherish, and we'll stay tuned for episode 7.